Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into the world of algebra. I know algebra might seem intimidating, but trust me, it's much easier than you think. We use algebra without even realizing it, from calculating grocery bills to figuring out the best deals online. Remember that time you split the cost of pizza with friends? Or when you tried to figure out how much paint you'd need to redecorate your room? Yep, that's algebra in action. Many people view algebra as this complex, abstract concept confined to textbooks and classrooms. In this video, we'll break down the basics of algebra in a fun and easy-to-understand way, proving that it's not the big, bad monster it's often made out to be. Let's start by understanding what algebra really is. In simple terms, algebra is like a puzzle where we use letters and symbols to represent unknown numbers. The beauty of algebra is that it provides us with a set of rules and techniques to manipulate these variables and solve for those missing numbers. Don't let the symbols and jargon scare you. We'll be covering all the essential concepts in a way that's easy to grasp. By the end of this video, you'll have a solid understanding of the fundamental principles of algebra and how they apply to real-life scenarios. One of the biggest hurdles for many algebra beginners is wrapping their heads around the concept of variables. It's important to remember that variables are simply placeholders for unknown values. Think of them as empty boxes waiting to be filled with a specific number. The key is to shift our mindset from seeing variables as intimidating symbols to recognizing them as tools that help us solve problems. Imagine you're baking a cake, and the recipe calls for X cups of flour. Variables in algebra work the same way. Another common challenge is the fear of equations themselves. It's helpful to approach equations step by step, breaking them down into smaller, more manageable parts. Remember that an equation is like a balance scale. Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other to keep it balanced. Start by identifying the variable you're trying to solve for. Then, use inverse operations to isolate the variable on one side of the equation. Remember, practice makes perfect. And the more you work with equations, the less intimidating they'll become. Algebra often requires a higher level of abstract thinking than basic arithmetic. We're no longer just dealing with concrete numbers, but with relationships, patterns, and generalizations. It's important to bridge the gap between abstract concepts and real-world applications. Look for examples of algebra in everyday life, such as calculating discounts, determining travel time and distance, or even figuring out how much fabric you need for a sewing project. When you can connect algebra to tangible situations, it becomes less about memorizing formulas and more about understanding how to apply mathematical principles to solve practical problems. Another common concern is the fear of making mistakes. Remember that mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. Embrace the challenge and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Let's start with the heart of algebra variables. These mysterious letters you see in equations like x, y, or even a and b are nothing to be afraid of. Think of variables as stand-ins, like blank spaces waiting to be filled with a number. They represent unknown quantities that we're trying to figure out. Imagine you're baking cookies, but the recipe calls for X number of chocolate chips. You can add any number of chips depending on how chocolatey you like your cookies. In algebra, we use variables to represent relationships between different quantities. The cool thing about variables is that they can change, adapt, and take on different values depending on the problem. While variables are all about change and flexibility, constants are the anchors of the algebra world. They represent fixed values that don't change throughout a particular problem. Think of constants as the ingredients in your favorite recipe. You always need a specific amount of flour, sugar, or butter, right? In the equation x plus 5 equals 10, the number 5 is a constant. It doesn't change, no matter what value we assign to x. Remember, constants are your friends in algebra. They provide a sense of predictability and help you navigate the world of variables and unknowns. Now that we've met variables and constants, let's move on to expressions. An expression is like a mathematical phrase that combines numbers, variables, and operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Think of it like building a Lego creation. You start with individual blocks, numbers, variables, and operations, and you can combine them in countless ways to create different structures or expressions. For instance, 2x plus 3 is an expression. It tells us to take a variable x, multiply it by 2, and then add 3. Expressions don't have an equal sign, so they don't represent a complete mathematical statement. Instead, they're like building blocks that we can use to construct equations. Finally, we arrive at equations, the heart and soul of algebra. An equation is a mathematical statement that declares two expressions are equal. Imagine you have a balanced scale with a bag of apples on one side and a weight on the other side. To keep the scale balanced, the weight of the apples must be equal to the weight on the other side. Take the equation 2x plus 3 equals 7. This equation states that the expression 2x plus 3 has the same value as 7. Our goal is to find the value of x that makes this statement true. Solving equations is like being a detective, using clues, the expressions and numbers, to uncover the hidden truth, the value of the variable. Let's say you're planning a pizza party for you and your friends. You know that a large pizza has 12 slices, and you want to make sure everyone gets at least 3 slices each. But how many pizzas do you need to order if you're inviting 6 friends? Algebra to the rescue. First, figure out the total number of people. You plus 6 friends equals 7 people. Then, multiply the number of people by the desired slices per person. 7 people times 3 slices per person equals 21 slices. Now, divide the total number of slices needed by the number of slices per pizza. 21 slices divided by 12 slices per pizza equals 1.75 pizzas. Since you can't order part of a pizza, you'd need to round up to 2 pizzas to ensure everyone gets enough, see? Algebra just helped you plan the perfect pizza party. Algebra isn't just about pizza parties, it can also be your secret weapon for managing your finances. Let's say you're saving up for a new phone that costs $500, and you're determined to buy it in 3 months. How much do you need to save each month to reach your goal? Let x represent the amount you need to save each month. The equation would be 3x equals $500. 3 months of saving times amount saved per month equals total cost of the phone. To solve for x, divide both sides of the equation by 3. 3x divided by 3 equals $500 divided by 3, which simplifies 2x equals $166.67, rounded up to the nearest cent. Thanks to algebra, you now know that you need to save approximately $166.67 each month to afford your dream phone in 3 months. Planning a road trip? Algebra can be your co-pilot, helping you estimate travel time and distance. Let's say you're driving from New York City to Miami, which is approximately 1,300 miles away. If you plan to drive at an average speed of 65 miles per hour, how long will it take you to reach your destination? Remember the classic formula: distance equals speed times time. In this case, we want to solve for time, so we'll rearrange the formula to time equals distance divided by speed. Now plug in the values. Time equals 1,300 miles divided by 65 miles per hour, which gives us a travel time of 20 hours. By using algebra, you can plan your road trip effectively, estimating travel time for different legs of the journey, and adjusting your schedule based on speed limits and potential delays. From baking cakes to building bookshelves, algebra finds its way into countless DIY projects. Imagine you're building a rectangular garden bed with a perimeter of 24 feet. Let W represent the width. The length is 2W. Perimeter equals 2 times length plus width. Simplify the equation. 24 feet equals 6W. W equals 4 feet. The length is 8 feet. Voila! Algebra helped you design the perfect garden bed. Imagine you're at the grocery store, and your shopping cart is filled with a jumble of fruits, vegetables, and snacks. To organize your haul, you'd probably group similar items together, right? Apples with apples, oranges with oranges, and so on. That's essentially what we do when we combine like terms in algebra. We're just grouping similar mathematical objects. In algebra, like terms are terms that have the same variable raised to the same power. For example, 3x and 5x are like terms because they both have the variable x raised to the power of 1, which is implied even if there's no exponent written. On the other hand, 2x squared and 4x are not like terms because even though they both have the variable x, they're raised to different powers. The key to identifying like terms is to look closely at the variables and their exponents. Once you've spotted the like terms, combining them is a breeze. Combining like terms simplifies expressions, making them concise and easier to work with. It's like tidying up your room, removing clutter and creating order. Take 3x plus 2y plus 5x minus y. By combining like terms, we streamline it. Identify like terms, 3x and 5x, 2y and minus y. Combine coefficients, 3x plus 5x equals 8x, 2y minus y equals y. The simplified expression is 8x plus y. Much cleaner and more manageable, right? Now that we've covered the building blocks of algebra, let's talk about the ultimate goal-solving equations. An equation is like a balanced scale. Our mission is to find the value of the variable that keeps both sides in perfect harmony. To achieve this balance, we need to isolate the variable on one side of the equation. In algebra, we use inverse operations to remove those extra elements from the equation. This ensures that the equation remains balanced, like a seesaw with equal weight on both ends. Section 2, a step-by-step approach, unlocking the mystery. Let's break down the process of solving equations. Imagine you're faced with 2x plus 5 equals 11. Your mission, find x. Step 1, identify the variable. It's x. Step 2, isolate the variable term. Subtract 5 from both sides. Step 3, divide both sides by 2. Final answer, x equals 3. We've unlocked the mystery. So there you have it. We've journeyed through the world of algebra, demystifying its concepts and revealing its hidden powers. Remember those initial fears of variables, equations, and abstract thinking? They seem a lot less daunting now, don't they? We've learned that algebra isn't just some abstract concept confined to textbooks and classrooms. It's a practical tool that empowers us to solve real-life problems, from planning parties and managing budgets, to tackling DIY projects and understanding the world around us. By embracing the language of algebra, with its variables, constants, expressions, and equations, we unlock a world of possibilities. We can calculate the unknown, make informed decisions, and navigate complex situations with confidence. Remember those common challenges we discussed? Variables are no longer mysterious symbols, but rather versatile tools that represent unknown quantities. Equations, once intimidating, now appear as balanced scales guiding us toward solutions. And abstract thinking, once a hurdle, has become a bridge connecting mathematical concepts to practical applications. The beauty of algebra lies in its simplicity and elegance. It provides a logical framework for problem solving, breaking down complex situations into manageable steps. And the more you practice, the more intuitive it becomes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes along the way. Mistakes are simply opportunities for learning and growth. Embrace the challenge, ask questions, and celebrate your progress. Every step you take brings you closer to mastering this powerful tool. Algebra is more than just a subject in school, it's a lifelong skill that can benefit you in countless ways. Whether you're pursuing a career in STEM, managing your personal finances, or simply seeking to expand your knowledge, algebra provides a solid foundation for success. So go forth and embrace the power of algebra. Unlock your potential, conquer your fears, and discover the endless possibilities that await you in the world of mathematics. Congratulations on making it to the end of our algebra adventure. I hope this video has shown you that algebra isn't as scary as it seems. Stay curious, keep practicing, and never be afraid to ask for help. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Keep those brains buzzing, and I'll see you in the next video.